Welcome everybody. Welcome. So I'm still getting used to StreamYard in case you guys are new to this. So welcome everybody. If you're looking for the webinar on how to get more sellers with circle prospecting, you came to the right place. This is the right webinar. You're looking for something else, you came to the wrong place. So we are in the correct location for talk about all things circle prospecting on this webinar. Should be a lot of fun. And for the people that are joining us, let's give people a couple minutes to join in. It can always take a little bit of time. But the people that are here already, let us know where you're joining us from. So let me see if I can drop a comment. Let's drop a comment and let us know, where are you joining us from? Around the U.S. Are you outside the U.S.? I am in sunny Mexico today. So beautiful day. We've got Amy from Lexington. Awesome. Christine, coastal Alabama. Ooh, nice. OKC, Jet. I'm guessing that's Oklahoma City, right? Laura, Chino, California. Love it. Sarah from Stockton. Cool. Folks from California showing up. Awesome. Drop a comment. Let us know where you're joining us from. I always think that's pretty cool because we got pretty good. You got all the whole country. People from the East Coast, Heartland, West Coast, Pittsburgh showing up. Awesome. New York City. All right, New York City. King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Modesto, California. We got folks from Michigan. Awesome. That's got to be it's got to be the best time of year out there in Michigan right now. Beautiful weather. Kansas City, Long Island. Welcome everybody. You came to the right place. You guys in the right place. Love having everybody here. We're about to get started, right? Maryland. All right, Maryland. Yeah, I've been to Baltimore. So I think I need to see more of Maryland. I don't think I've only seen one city, Maryland, so I need to see more of that. So great folks. Anybody else? Drop your location. Where are you joining us from? Always good to see. We got a good chunk of people from all over the country. Like, you got East Coast, West Coast, and the middle of the country represented. So I love it. So, and this is great because I think circle prospecting, I'm going to show you some case studies and some evidence, but I think it's one of those things that you got to try it no matter where you are in the country, right? No matter where you guys are. Amarillo, all right. We've got our West Texas people out there. I love it. Um, Roy in Southeast Michigan. Hopefully I said that right. Toluca Lake, Los Angeles. Cool, awesome. Thanks, guys. So it's one of those things you should try kind of wherever you are. Okay, wherever you are, because I used to have kind of a pre like certain ideas in my head, limiting beliefs that circle prospecting would only work in areas like small towns, small markets, right? I had like a fear of trying circle prospecting in very large markets, like Southern California, New York, Florida, like large markets in Florida and Texas. I was concerned it wouldn't work in larger markets, but guess what, right? Now we have case studies from Southern California, like from other places where like people make it work. And I'm here to share with you how they're making it work. Even because Southern California has like a double challenge, right? It's one of the highest value markets. That's true. Like price points in Southern California, you guys are joining here. You guys, you got Westlake Village. You know what I'm talking about, Carol. You got some really good price points in Southern California. It's also one of the densest areas in the whole country. A lot of people live in there in a relatively small area. And like you guys get bombarded with marketing. You guys get bombarded with visual marketing, with digital marketing, with telemarketing, with mail, like everything, right? Because Southern California is so valuable in the area and it's so dense, right? You get a lot of bang for the buck when you're marketing in Southern California. However, it's very, it's tough to break through, very challenging to get people on the phone. But we've got some people that have broken through and having a lot of success in that area. And I'm here to share with you guys what we're seeing. So let me get started with this. I want to present. Okay, cool. All right, I think it's working. Okay, cool. Hey, still getting used to StreamYard, guys. So this is the webinar, and let's get rocking and rolling here. I'm going to jump right into it. Okay. The goals are to learn about circle prospecting. All right, let's jump right into the meat of the presentation. So why circle prospecting? Why circle prospecting, folks? I'm here to tell you. Right, and this statistic just came out a few days ago. Okay, I'm going to give you simple math on why circle prospecting is so powerful. Okay, simple math. We are on track in this year, 2025, to sell about the exact same number of homes we've sold in 2024 and 2023, about 4 million homes. Okay, We're on track. The NAR just came out with the latest seasonally adjusted projection, and it's been going down every month. You know it, right? We're gonna be at about, rounding it out, about 4 million homes sold in the US in 2025. About the same as 24, about the same as 23. That's not a great market. In my opinion, that's about 20% less than we really should be because of a lot of reasons, okay? Interest rates and people stuck in those really low mortgages and everything you know about, okay? The point is, 4 million homes are going to be sold kind of no matter what in this country this year, which is about 8 million sides, okay? 8 million sides to every transaction. So 8 million sides to a transaction, okay? What does that mean? How many adults are involved in every transaction? I'm going to give you guys an average of 3 adults. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's more than that, right? Average, guys. 3 people, 3 adults involved in every transaction. That's 24 million parties to a transaction, adults in the US this year, a down year, not a great year for real estate, okay? As far as volume of sales, 24 million adults will be involved, will be party to a real estate transaction. I think that's on the low side, round numbers. How many adults are there in the US? There's about 240 million, okay? Also round numbers. I'm giving you broad strokes here. So in this down market, 1 out of every 10 adults in the US will be party to a real estate transaction this year. Okay. That's the number I wanted to get to. 1 out of every 10 adults in the US will be party to a real estate transaction, or like a relative or or a spouse of, or a son or daughter of, or the father or mother of someone that is party to a real estate transaction this year, right? And then this year during 2025. When you think about it that way, that's why circle prospecting is so powerful. Because if you talk to 10 adults in the country randomly, you're going to talk to at least one home buyer or one home seller, at least one. Okay. At least one, which is crazy to think about how that works. And when the market's doing great, when we're selling 5 million, 6 million homes a year, that number is like 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7. It's crazy how common that is to talk to someone that's buying or selling. That's why you can get circle prospecting to work, because that's the number you're going for. Circle prospecting, the way I would define it, is calling around a point on a map. You drop a pin on a map, you draw a circle around it. That's where the name comes from. You draw a circle around it, and you prospect everyone around that listing, around that geographic area, a pin on a map, and you call around it. For the purpose of this presentation, we're calling people around that area, and we're basically calling the phone book, okay? We are looking for homeowners around a specific geographic area, and that's typically going to be a listing, okay? That's typically going to be a listing. It might be a listing that you own, okay? That's your listing, right? You're the listing agent. It might not be. You might be the buyer agent that knows about that listing. Okay. It might be the listing of someone on your team. It might be the listing of someone in your brokerage. It might be a recently sold listing, right? I'll get into different types of circle prospect in a second, but it can be, I'm trying to tell you that you have a wide open range of possibilities here. You might have no listing to speak of in this area, but you know it's a high value area. You want to have a listing there. You might even have buyers looking in the area. You can do circle prospecting there as well. There's no homes on the market right now. Let's get some homes on the market in that specific area. Okay. That's why circle prospecting can be very versatile. It can be, done in very different ways. It can help you generate more business from each and every listing that you sell, from each and every listing that your team sells, or that your brokerage sells, or any high value area you want to prospect in. Okay. If done effectively, circle prospecting, you should always have it in your toolbox, because it is just a way to talk to more potential sellers every single day. Okay. Why do I talk about sellers when I mean circle prospecting? Because we have the ability to choose, guys. We can choose who we talk to. When we're talking to people in these areas, we can choose to only talk to the homeowners, right? If you're talking to a homeowner, if they want to upgrade or downgrade, or they want to relocate, or they're getting married, or they're getting divorced, or they're having a baby, or someone's graduating, all the reasons people buy and sell homes, right? Even in this market, you have the ability to pick and choose the ones that are homeowners. Okay. You have the ability to pick and choose what areas you call in. All right. That is a big difference between something like circle prospecting and expired and FISBO. And if anyone here on the webinar typically calls expired and FISBO, one of the drawbacks, and there's many drawbacks to calling expired and FISBO, but one of them is that you have no control over where you're going to work. Okay. If you're calling for sell by owners, canceled expireds, you have to go wherever the homeowner is. That might be 5 minutes from your office. It might be 2 hours from your office, right? If you're calling these expireds, that's not an advantage, right? That's a tough part of that business. And some people can get picky and only work certain expireds in their farm or they're within, 30 minutes of their office or their home. That's great. Most people can't, right? They're just going to try and have a good conversation with an expired and hope it works out, right? Very challenging to do. Circle prospecting is the opposite of that, okay? Circle prospecting, you actually have control. You decide where you want to have the calls made, where you're going to generate potential sellers. And that is the game, folks, okay? If you can find a way to target the areas that you want to work in, that's amazing. And that's what circle prospecting can do for you, right? And many other reasons I think circle prospecting is awesome. That's one of them. And there's many, many more, right? Well, another reason I like circle prospecting is that I don't want to say you have an infinite number of people you can talk to. It's not infinite, but it is almost infinite. Okay. Like it's almost there. What do I mean by that? I run a very large ISA team. I've hired, hundreds, if not thousands of ISAs at this point. And one of the areas where we would train people in is my, home market, which is Seattle, Washington. Okay. I had hundreds of people calling in Seattle, Washington. And when we ran out of numbers in Seattle, because we would call the entire state of Washington. So in a process of about like 2.5, almost 3 years, we called every phone number that was available to buy in the state of Washington. Every single number, right? Probably every city above, I don't know, 50,000 people we called, right? Every single one of them. And what did we do when we were done? We turned around, we refreshed the list, we updated all the numbers, and we started over again. Okay. We started over again because it had been 3 years since we called everybody. Okay. We went back to the beginning and just called everyone over again. And we got results from that. Okay. So, no, it's not an infinite supply of numbers, but holy cow, it will last you a very long time. And that is very unique from different lead sources. Most of them have an expiration date. Like expired listings, you can't call them 3 years from now, right? They expired now. And most expireds are going to sell within 9 months. Most of them will. Okay, relist and sell, right? So you gotta be, it's very time sensitive. And circle prospecting is not that. It's completely different than that. Another reason I really like it. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. All right, so I've got Young. I'm seeing so this is for the production team. I'm seeing oh, there we go. Want to make sure we're back in the presentation. So here I want to share some of these case studies. I just recorded this case study with Wyatt Parker. He's out of San Clemente, California. That's Southern California, Orange County, guys. So this is one of the case studies I'm telling you guys about. I used to think that circle prospecting just couldn't work in Southern California. We had tried, we had failed a lot of times. But guess what? Like Wyatt is having tremendous success. Okay. Just last year alone, he did 19 million in volume in that part of the country, primarily from circle prospecting. Okay. Circle prospect, generating 1, 2, 3 solid seller leads every month, right? And then just closing them within a few months. That's amazing, right? I'll be publishing this. We just recorded this, right? I think it was on Friday. We recorded this case study. We'll be publishing it in the next couple of weeks. But check this out, right? If you're on my newsletter, or you guys follow me on social media, or you're in Lab Code Agents, we'll be publishing this case study once we have it available and put it up on YouTube, so you guys can check it out, right? This is worth listening to because Wyatt is not from Southern California, right? And this is a very common thread with people that try circle prospecting. They typically don't have an SOI or a database they can call. They go into a market, they want to have success, they have no idea how to meet people, and circle is a great way to talk to a lot of people, homeowners very quickly, right? Next one, this is Tori Drake out of Denver, Colorado. Okay. So he is a guy that, is called expired and Fizbo. I mean, he's a cold caller. This guy's a pro. He's different than Tori. Tori's only ever done circle, never done anything else but circle. Okay. And open houses and door knock. But Tori is a hardcore, cold caller, expired, Fizbo, cancel. But one of his highest value activities, highest ROI, and the least amount of competition. That's another huge advantage of circle prospecting, folks. For those of you that have done, when you're calling expired listings or FISBO or canceled listings, you're competing with dozens of other agents, maybe 100 other agents, maybe 50 other agents for the attention of that seller because it's such a high value prospect. Okay. You know what I'm talking about? People that have tried it. The challenge is even getting through to the person, even having them pick up your call. It's so hard to do in some of these markets. Circle prospecting, you know how many agents you're competing with on circle prospecting? You're typically zero, and it'll be zero throughout the process. Okay. And this is part of what I talked about on these different case studies. Like Wyatt, he said, why would I call expireds in San Clemente, right? Why would I call expireds? I'd be competing with 100 agents that are absolute killers in that market. Absolute killers, right? They're sharks. They know what they're doing. They're very experienced, and they're great at calling expireds. Because I think he tried it. It's had no point in it. He'd rather talk to circle prospecting sellers because no one else is calling them. Yes, they're going to be further out, right? They might be 6 months out, but you can nurture that relationship. If you're willing to make the trade-off of nurturing them a little bit longer, you're not going to compete with anybody. Okay. You've got 6 months to build that relationship, and that's where you can get the most value. Tory Drake, same situation. He was so successful with his ISA, he got 3 ISAs, okay, to help him just increase like his circle prospect because he was so good at it individually. Once he got an ISA, he realized how efficient he could be, and he hired multiple. Okay. So it's a pretty awesome story. Marlene, I'm recording a case study with Marlene next week, and we'll be releasing it during August. Also, she closed, and she's in one of the most competitive markets in the country, Hawaii. Okay, she's out in the islands. Okay, Oahu, one of the highest. I think it's the most expensive market in America. Like as a state, the most expensive market in America. One of the most competitive markets for real estate agents, and she has built her entire business on Circle Prospect. Okay, really competitive, high price market, right? Like very high price, very hard to move into, very high value homes. She has built her business on Circle Prospect, closed 26 transactions in the last year just from Circle Prospect. All right. I think Marlene currently has 5 ISAs calling for her and helping her just talk to more people. Right. That's another reason I like Circle Prospect. Again, I'm very biased here. Okay. Very biased because it is one of the easiest ways to hand it off to an ISA. You can hire someone to help you talk to more sellers. All right. This webinar is not about doing it with an ISA, but that's just one of the advantages, right? If you're here to learn how to do it on your own, you're in the right place. But just know a lot of people, you can scale it much more than calling expireds, than calling FISBOs, than calling it canceled. You can scale it more because it's a lot easier to do. Okay. Circle Prospect. This Carlos Gonzalez out of San Antonio, Texas. So Carlos, he has been able to list 2 homes a month, 2 listings per month just from Circle. Okay. Not people, he's not calling people and listing them the same month. No, he's built a pipeline of sellers through Circle Prospect that he can take listings from on a consistent basis. He's really built an impressive team out in San Antonio. Really great results with Carlos. All this to show you guys that it can work in several parts of the country, even parts of the country I didn't think could work. Really like dense areas, like Southern California, like a mainland Oahu, like that's a dense area, the parts that are populated, right? So it can work in high price markets. It can work in lower price markets. I don't have to explain to you guys the price difference between Southern California, Oahu, and San Antonio, Texas. It's a big difference. Okay. Trust me on that. I don't have the number in front of me, but it is a very different market. But they both have in common that you can make Circle Prospecting work, right? Great. Cool. We got some questions coming in the comments. Let's check it out. Are going to say anything 100%. We'll get to the substance, Gary. We'll get to that. We're getting there. 100%. 100%. And here, great. Let's jump into it. All right. here are some of the biggest mistakes you're making when trying circle prospecting. All right. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see. Okay. And this is, I'm starting it out because a lot of people come into this project with the wrong, with the wrong expectations. All right. And this is the biggest thing. All right. Number one, I'm going to talk about this next. You don't understand something called the shaking the tree model. Okay. You don't understand that. That is one of the biggest mistakes people are going to make. All right. Number two, you're not giving it enough time. Like I said, like people like Wyatt, people like Tori, they are getting results from Circle Prospect because they're giving it 4, 5, 6 months. And a lot of agents approach Circle Prospect thinking they're going to get results from it in the first 90 days, in the first 30 days. It doesn't work like that, right? A well-run Circle Prospecting project is going to generate 1 to 2 solid prospects every day, and they're going to be closing. The fastest that I've seen circle prospecting leads close, become listings, active sellers, is probably 4 months, is the fastest. I would bank on 4 to 6 months, right? Before you start seeing listings coming in, right? And that's a realistic number. It's a realistic number. Of course, you can get lucky, you can hit some home runs, but that's a realistic number. Big mistake is going into it thinking you're going to get a bunch of ROI in the first 90 days. And that's just not going to happen. It doesn't work that way, right? 100%. Not talking to enough people per day. Okay. Now, folks, again, the biggest difference that I see, in markets like San Antonio, like California, like Hawaii, the biggest difference I do see is how long does it take you to talk to 30 people? Okay. That's the number you have to take away from a presentation like this. You have to at least be talking to something like 30 sellers every day to get a shot at getting 1 seller lead, maybe 2 seller leads out of that. Okay. If you're not talking to 30 people in one day, it's going to be really tough to get results from Circle Prospect. And in some of these markets, you can talk to 30 people in an hour. In some of the tougher markets, it's going to take 30 people. It might take 3 hours to talk to 30 people. It might take 4 hours. In San Clemente, it might take 4 hours to talk to 30 people in one day. Okay. That's the biggest difference in some of these markets. How fast can you have 30 contacts? Okay. 30 contacts. It's your contact rate. All right. Your contact rate. And that's for every 100 people you dial. How many conversations do you actually have? Average is going to be 5 per 100 up to 10 per 100. Okay. 5 to 10%. That's an average, right? So that is one of the biggest things. If you're not talking to 30 people per day, it's just going to take you way too long to get results in Circle Prospect. That's probably one of the biggest parts of failure, whether you're using an ISA or not. If you're doing this yourself, that can be one of the, you're not giving it enough time, or your contact rate is not high enough. I'm going to talk about contact rate in this presentation. Okay, it's a big one. You're not getting to the 3 no's. Okay, it's a scripting issue. Not getting to the 3 no's. I'll talk about the 3 no's as well. We're going to talk about scripts in this presentation as well. Next, you're not following up. You're not following up with your nurtures, guys. Or like I said, so this is a really common issue with people that try Circle Prospect, which is crazy to me, but it is very common. And everyone, all these case studies I mentioned, every single one of them has struggled with this, which is great. They're so focused on their daily calls. To make Circle Prospecting work, you got to do it every day, at least Monday through Friday, a couple hours as an agent. You got to put it at least 2 hours, probably more than 2 hours, to make Circle Prospecting work as an individual agent. Okay. That's not where the issue that they have. If you can accomplish that every day, generating new seller leads, your biggest challenge is going to be making sure you make time to follow up with them. Okay. And you have to follow up with them at least once a month, every 30 days. You have to actually follow up with them every 30 days. You're checking in, you're calling them, you're adding some value, you're giving them news about the market, you're showing them a listing that came out they might be interested in, because every seller is a buyer first and foremost. Okay. Every seller is a buyer. You're giving them something valuable every 30 days. Because if you don't do that, like, you're just not going to get the results. Okay. Every single case study I mentioned, I have mastered the art of the follow-up. All right. They do a great job following up. That's one of the big mistakes I see out there. And everyone struggles with this. This is not like an easy thing to do. But if you're generating seller leads every day, you've got to figure out the follow-up piece. Okay. Otherwise, these leads are going to go nowhere, right? And then throwing away buyers, another big mistake I see when you're doing Circle Prospect. Let me be clear: you're going to talk to renters as well. You're targeting homeowners, but you might actually talk to a lot of renters. In my opinion, you should have the conversation. Are they thinking of buying? Can they become a qualified buyer? Every renter in America wants to become a buyer at some point. It's just a question of when, okay? And do they qualify? I would take them down the path and see if they can qualify. You can work with them. Your team can work with them. You can refer them out. You can have your lender give them a call and work with them. Your credit repair person, if they need help with that. If you already got them on the phone, I would have the conversation. I think that's a big mistake. You should at least have the conversation with any potential buyer if they're interested and they can get qualified. All right, cool. All right, moving on. What do I mean? I mentioned this is one of the number one mistakes. Okay, what do I mean by shaking the tree model? Okay, like if you are trying to find a way to talk to more sellers, right? The initial conversation, like I said, there's two steps to circle prospect. One of them is you got to make that initial contact and you got to have that conversation, whether it's you or your ISA. Okay, whether it's you or your ISA. The goal of that phone call, that first phone call, is not an appointment. Okay, I mean, I know that sounds weird, but the goal of the conversation is not to generate an appointment from Circle Prospect. It's not, right? It's the person might be 6 months out. You think they want to meet with you right away? Of course they don't. Like they don't see any need to, right? And you pushing for an appointment or your ISA pushing for an appointment is going to be a big mistake. All right. Like that initial conversation is just to answer some really simple questions. Are they a homeowner? Do they have like you have their confirmed contact information and that their property, you have the right number, the right email? And is there any desire, interest, curiosity about selling? Okay. And this applies whether it's you making the calls or you've delegated this to an ISA. Same principle applies. The goal of that first call is to shake the tree. That's what the shaking the tree model is. The first call is about shaking the tree. Confirmed homeowner, confirmed contact information, desire or interest in selling, curiosity about selling. Okay. And there's different ways to script this out. You can actually tell them, oh, then I guess this is your forever home. You're never going to move here in a million years, right? Well, what would they say to that? Okay. If they don't say yes, then they say, well, I don't know. It depends. Okay. That is a conversation worth having. That's a potential seller. Okay. Ask about that. Show some curiosity about that. Okay. Now, a lot of agents can misinterpret this model. They're having conversations with circle prospecting sellers, and then they get really frustrated that they don't want to sell right away. That they're not really, oh, they're just thinking about it. They're in the dreaming phase. Oh, circle prospecting is the worst thing ever. It doesn't work. You're wrong. You're doing it the wrong way. Okay. First contact on a circle prospecting call, you're shaking the tree. You just want to find qualified seller leads. What's a qualified seller leads? Those three things I said: confirmed homeowner, confirmed contact information, desire, curiosity, interest in selling in the future, not now. You're calling them out of the blue. They're not going to want to sell right away. Okay. They're just doing something in the future. That's it. You're not even sure what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, but that is a lead. Okay. And then, like I said, the second part of this model is that follow-up, okay? Follow-up. Those follow-up calls are the value in this model, okay? Those follow-up calls, because they're giving you a chance to check in with them. How's that process going? What's the next step to get them to become a seller? Hey, guess what? That's going on. This is going on in the marketplace. I wanted you to know. Hey, we just saw this listing sell in this area. It sold for this much. You should know about that. You're nurturing, you're informing them, you're adding value, you're following up at least every 30 days, right? Shaking the tree and then follow up. Relentless, structured, value based follow up. Okay. If you don't understand this model, circle prospecting is not going to work for you. You're going to go into it wanting to find motivated sellers ready to go right away. You're going to become very frustrated and you're just going to give up after a month or two. Okay. Because you're not seeing anyone do anything yet. You got to wait. Like I said, the fastest this is going to yield listings is 4 months. That's the fastest I've seen, right? You're going to start getting listings in 4 to 6 months. If you give it that time, you can make it work 100%. All right. Next, the best lead sources. All right. Circle prospect. And you've got different variations. This is where I want to talk about the different kinds of circle prospect, right? Because there's not just one kind. I like to call these different scripts. Okay. You can just do what we call just straight up geofarming. We don't have any listings in the area. We don't have we don't have anything. Okay. What we maybe have is some buyers looking to move in the area. Maybe we don't even have that. Geofarming is straight up picking an area, making a call, and trying to see if anyone's interested in selling just because. Okay. That's what we used to call geofarming back in the day. I personally prefer what I call the just sold script, just sold kinds of one, right? 100%. Why do I like just sold? Because the script is more enticing. The script is more interesting. A just sold campaign sounds like this. Hey there, Mr. Seller. This is Gus with ABC Realty. Before you hang up, just have a quick question, right? We just sold, or someone just sold, maybe not even your listing. This home just sold a couple blocks from you, right? There was 3 or 4 buyers that were really, really disappointed they couldn't get that property. I'm canvassing the neighborhood, trying to look for more sellers for these buyers. Do you know anyone that might be thinking of selling in the next few months, right? In the next year? Okay. How about yourself? Have you ever considered selling? That's it. 100%. Try to get the conversation started. That's a just sold script. I think it's a very compelling script. Okay. You might not even have a property in the area that sold recently. There might not be any recent sales. But guess what? What if you have buyers that are looking in that area, in that zip code, and that subdivision? You've got them, you're working with them actively, or you've got them in your CRM. And if you don't have any buyers, guys, find buyers. Okay. Find them because you can call that same area and just say, hey, I'm working with 5 different buyers looking for homes in this area. I haven't been able to find what they need. Have you ever thought of selling? Right? Do you know anyone that might be thinking of selling? Okay. This can be a very compelling script. Think about the markets, and I'm talking about Florida. I'm talking about, Texas, parts of Texas, the areas where buyers are at a premium. Okay. Buyers are at a premium. This is not the whole country. I understand that. But in some of these markets, you've got inventory that's increasing 30, 40, 50% year over year. Buyers are at a premium. If you have buyers, use that, right? That's a compelling offer to generate more sellers. Use something that we call like we have a buyer, right? And advertise that you have buyers. You just need more listings, all right? Something that appeals to your buyers. Make the call and see what happens. Okay. And you can do more of these, right? There's more options out there, but I really like just list. Oh, you can also do just listed. Hey, we just listed a home in the property. Would you like to choose your neighbor? Who would you like to choose as your next neighbor? Hey, check it out. These are the details. Have you ever considered selling? It's always about that. You have an introduction to the script, and I'll show you guys some scripts in a second, but you have an introduction and you always want to get to the question of have you ever considered selling? The intro is just a way to get your foot in the door and get the conversation going and ask them that question, right? Just sold, just listed. We have a buyer. There's more. I really like this, right? Cool. List providers. All right, guys. There's many out of the look. I in these case studies that I mentioned, a lot of these folks are using Mojo neighborhood search. They're using My Plus Leads, the share group, right? Share group is very popular to generate, neighborhood lists for circle prospecting. Vulcan 7 is a great provider, can be a little bit on the pricey side. The best bang for your buck that I've seen also, RedX GeoLeads, right? RedX GeoLeads, very reasonably priced, and you get bulk data. And I think they're also a sponsor of LCA, Lab Code Agents. So you guys can get a pretty good deal with RedX as well. RedX, their GeoLeads package, right? And get the premium data on those, which means they do more work to match them to phone numbers. It's really good bang for the buck. But a lot of these people are using and having success with. There's not just one, okay? There's not just one where I go, oh, if you don't have this one, it's not going to work. All these case studies I mentioned before, they use all of these, right? They use all of these different list providers and it can work, all right? My Plus Leads, Vulcan, RedX, Mojo, Share Group are the top ones that I would recommend, right? And you don't have to take a screenshot of this presentation. You have to furiously write this down. I'm going to give you this presentation for free, right? At the end. Okay. Just hold on until the end. I have several freebies for you guys at the end of the presentation. Hold on and you'll get all this stuff for free. You don't have to take a screenshot, have to write anything down. Take a screenshot, we'll never look at later, right? So actually you can get the whole presentation 100% for you guys. Okay. Let's keep going. The best dialers. Okay, guys. The best dialers. Okay, this is where it's important. All right, because some people kind of assume, oh, I got to get a really popular dialer that I actually used to be really excited about this dialer. A few years ago, it was called Call Tools or Enzo dialer or Batch dialer because they can do 18 lines at once and dial all these numbers. If anything, that's changed over the last few years is that dialing faster is not necessarily better. Okay, dialing faster in this day and age. I'm talking about 2025. All right, dialing faster is not necessarily better. You got to be very careful. Why? Because there's this whole technology called anti-spam technology. Okay, I'm not going to get into the technical details of it, but just suffice it, if you're calling too fast, too many numbers, your number is going to get blocked. Okay, if you're lucky, it might show up as spam likely. Right, those warnings we get when we have an unknown number calling us spam likely. That's one. The worst one is the number doesn't even ring. It's blocked at the carrier level. Okay. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile are blocking it. It doesn't even ring on the other end. Right. You don't want to be caught in spam jail. Right. Spam jail. You don't. So sometimes calling the fastest is not necessary. Okay. What matters then? Not calling the fastest. 10 lines, not helpful anymore. That used to work 10 years ago. Why? I know because I did it. We were calling on 10 line dialers. It was crazy. It was the Wild West, guys. We're not there anymore. Okay. Things have really changed. If you're not being careful with your spam issues on dialing, you're not talking to anybody anymore. Right. Your contact rate will go to zero. You'll make $1,000 a day and no one will answer your phone if you're not careful, if you're not trying to stay under the radar of the anti-spam technology. Okay. What are the numbers you should focus on? You got to make sure that your contact rate out of 100 dials, you're having 5 to 10 actual people pick up the phone. Because if you're not in that range, you're probably already in spam jail. If you're below that, if you're above that, that's amazing. Great job. Keep doing it. Right. But on average, across the whole country, you're going to be in that 5 to 10% range. You got to work on it and you got to use the right tools. Talk about that in a sec. This means you're talking to 8 to 10 people an hour. That's a good outcome. Okay, that's a good solution. 8 to 10 people per hour. Dialers have features that deal with this. Okay, and in my opinion, the best actual dialing platform is Mojo Dialer. Okay, and I don't get paid to say that. Mojo's not a sponsor of LCA. I don't get a referral fee from Mojo. I wish they had a referral fee. I'd love to get one, but they don't have one. I don't care. They are every single case study I mentioned before, they're all using this dialer. Okay. They're all using this dialer right now. Okay. So I wish I had 5 different dialers to give you guys. Nope. This is the one I'm seeing the best results from right now. And this list is different from last year. Okay. I had other dialers on this list a year ago. Right now, it's just one, baby. It's Mojo Dialer. But it could be Mojo Dialer with 2 lines at once. It could be Mojo Dialer with 3 lines at once, right? How do you know? Are you talking to 5 to 10% of the people you're dialing? That's it. That's the question. Okay. If you're talking to 5 to 10% of the people, keep doing what you're doing. That might be on a 2-line dialer. If you can get this contact rate with a 3-line dialer, and some of the folks that I mentioned are, then keep it at 3 lines. But you gotta try and stay compliant. And Mojo has ways. These are called whitelisted number. It's an anti-spam technology. They register the number, they whitelist it, and they keep it below the threshold of being caught by these spam filters. Okay. This is not a technical presentation. I'm not going to go into the technology of it, but Mojo has a way to make the number of calls you have to make in a compliant way that doesn't trigger all these spam filters. Okay. So just use it. All right. Use it. This is the way to make it work. Right. Awesome. Let's jump into the next one. All right. Yeah. So this is about the spam likely. What does it mean? What does it not mean? I mean, I'm going to skip over this because this is that's what I just explained. You don't want to show up as spam likely because you're not going to talk to anybody. Okay. Okay. Great. We're almost done, folks. We're almost done. A few more minutes. So we're talking about scripting. Okay. Just sold, just listed, and these are out of the case studies I mentioned at the beginning. These are actually the most popular scripts. Okay. Specifically about scripts. I'm going to go over each one a little bit. Okay. Like I mentioned, just sold. The only thing that changes between these scripts, this is crazy, is just the first paragraph. Everything else is the same. Okay. You're ultimately trying to work to ask them, have they ever thought about selling their home? Has it ever crossed their mind? Right. I mean, And this is like a Brandon Morenin, NLP script. I mean, you literally ask them this. I mean, this looks like a great property. You wouldn't sell it in a million years, right? This is your forever. I'm assuming this is your forever home. And if they don't say yes to that question, if they hesitate to answer that question, I think it's worth asking. Really? I mean, tell me more about that. Like, why would you say that? Right? That's a great way to get a conversation started. But the whole purpose of these scripts is to get to the question: have you ever thought about selling your home, Mr. Seller? Right? Have you ever thought about selling, Mr. Homeowner? Okay. Just sold, like I mentioned, approaches it from, hey, me or the royal we, my brokerage, or we, my team, or someone, right? The home on 123 Main Street just sold. And I heard through the grapevine there was like 5 buyers that couldn't get it. So I'm trying to find more homes for these buyers, right? There was two offers in it, only one got it. I have a leftover buyer. Maybe it was your listing. Hey, a buyer's very disappointed. I actually have their contact information. Have you ever considered selling? Right? Because your neighbor just sold. That's a compelling offer. If you're in a high inventory, low amount of buyer market, the fact that you have buyers, qualified buyers in your database is very valuable. Just list it. Would you choose have you ever thought of selecting your next neighbor? And they might chuckle at that. They might laugh at that. Great. Well, we just listed this property on 123 Main Street. You should come check it out. Have you ever thought about selling yourself? Got to work that in there, right? Open house, another easy way to start conversations with sellers. Okay. Hey, I'm hosting an open house. So there's a really awesome agent out of Indio, California. His name's Payson Robertson. I interviewed him, on my YouTube channel, Payson Robertson. He did 100 open houses in 100 days. Payson did 100 open houses in 100 days. Okay. And he closed, I think it was 26 or 27 deals from that. What would he do? So he would hold an open house every single day. And he would hold it open, I think, for 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours. And I mean, if you've hosted open houses, a lot of them, guys, you're mostly sitting down waiting for people to show up, right? Mostly. What would Payson do while he was at the open house sitting on his butt for 3 hours? He would crack open the laptop, put on his headset, and he would circle dial the neighborhood, inviting them to the open house. Okay. Every single day, he said he got one lead every single day. He always got one, either from a person that attended the open house and he had a great connection with, or from circle prospecting the open house while he was sitting the open house. Okay. While he was sitting in the house, he would call and dial 1,000 people around the open house, inviting them and starting a conversation. Okay. Where is he getting listings from the open house every day? So, Natalie, that's a great question. I'm going to take a little bit of a segue to answer that, right? We're almost done here. But he would hold the same home open for more than one day at a time. Okay, that's one trick he would do. He would hold it open for, if it's a good property, good area, 3, 4 vacant home, obviously, right? 4 or 5 days in a row. And he would get results from that. No one does that, really. I mean, I've never done that in my life. Okay. I've never held the same home open more than once, one day at a time. He would do it 5 days in a row. Same time. He'd publish it on the MLS, he'd publish it on Zillow, and he'd post out 14 signs. Not 14 signs. Half of his traffic didn't even come from the MLS or Zillow. It came from the signs that were outside the property, right? So, I mean, you should check out that interview. Payson Robertson, look it up on YouTube. Payson Robertson, 100 open houses in 100 days. And it's worth listening to. Anyways, shameless plug. That's an interview. I think he's done a lot of interviews at this point. You should check it out, right? But that's a really, really good question. And one of the secrets he had was he wouldn't leave the open house without one seller lead every day, and he'd get them from if he didn't get it from someone coming to the open house, he'd get it from circle dialing the open house, which is a great idea, tremendous idea. Okay, all right, guys. And by the way, I'm gonna give you these 3 scripts absolutely for free, along with the top objection handlers for each one of these scripts. Because this is a presentation, we don't have time to do this all today, but you guys can get this 100% for free. Okay, and we're almost done. If you guys, again, this is a 45-minute presentation. We don't have time to go over everything, every small detail. If you guys are serious about circle prospecting and want to learn how to do it with an ISA or without an ISA, right? I'm going to be doing a free boot camp This is going to be several hours. This is not going to be 45 minutes, guys. You got to invest some time over a couple days to actually go down into detail and work on how to get this up and running. This is happening next week, Monday and Tuesday, 3 hours, okay? And we're going to execute and go into the next level of detail for circle prospecting. If you are serious about making it happen and you actually want to implement this model, you can join that webinar. And actually, let me drop the link below so you guys can have that. If you guys want to actually go into the next level of detail and make this happen, let me drop the link here in the comments. And Yang, can you post this too? Give me 1 sec, guys. Where'd that link go? Oh, no, here we go. All right. Okay, here is the link to that boot camp. You guys, here you go. And Yang, if I posted that wrong, you can, oh, there we go. Thanks so much, man. So you guys can click on that link, register. This is a free event, but it's several hours. Okay. This is not a 30-minute, 45-minute meeting. If you guys are serious, you can come. If you have an ISA already, someone's dialing for you, send them too. Okay. Because we're going to go down to the details on setting up the dialers and the scripts and the objection handlers. And we're going to go into role play and all this fun stuff, right? So we're going to actually go down step by step on how to set this up. Or if you're already doing it, what are you even doing wrong, right? If you're not getting the results you want from it. So really recommend, if you guys can, you should attend that boot camp 100%. And a few freebies, okay? Like I mentioned, you get a copy of those scripts updated for 2025 version of these top circle prospecting scripts. You get a copy of this presentation so you don't have to keep those screenshots you're never going to look at again. And you're going to get the top objection handlers. How to do that? I need you guys to email info@powerisa.com, and you need to include in the title. You got to include these 3 words: free circle scripts. Okay, those have to be in the subject line. Okay, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, you're not going to get automatically going to get that email sent to you. All right, so include those. The whole email can be blank if you want, right? No worries. Sometimes people include some nice comments. Thanks, Gus. That's fine. But if it doesn't say free circle scripts in the subject line, you're not going to get the freebies. Okay. So make sure you get that. All right. And that's it, folks. That's what we got time for today. If you guys want to go dive deep into the next one, I'll see you guys at the boot camp, 100% free next week, Monday and Tuesday, August 4 and 5. That's it, folks. That's your wrap. Hopefully it's been useful for you guys. Thanks so much, everybody.